And we're live. Perfect. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time tonight to come onto the podcast. For anyone who doesn't know, this is Andrew Berends. Me and Andrew go way back. I mean, we have pictures of us in kindergarten at 6 years
Kindergarten?
old, mixing it up chef style,
In the
and doing all the fun
sandbox, the
stuff.
good old
So
sandbox. Inside, too.
inside, yeah. So we've been friends for, I mean, going on now, we're 28 years old. So yeah, going on
Too long.
22 years, a long, long time. So you've been roommates with me during college. So you've seen me at some of my lowest points and some of my highest points, and you've been there every step of the way. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on and share a little bit about yourself. And well, hopefully the world can learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
I like it. I like it. So I always like to start with a fun one just to get top of mind. So what is the first memory that comes to mind when you think about us? What's one memory that kind of sticks out to you when you think
First,
about you and me?
the first one? I mean, we all did, like, in Spencer, we have the Little Tiger relays. I'm
Mm,
sure they don't do it now because the school system's different. Where it was, you went to, what was it? Johnson, Lincoln, Fairview was the
yeah.
other one, I think. Was it, and then Sacred Heart. So there
Mhm.
was four technically grade schools competing against each other, and I just remember playing and doing, and all of us being shipped to the football field, and none of us, like, some of us knew who, like, the other kids were from school were, and some of us didn't. But it was so dope to be like school versus school, and I just remember you running in the 4x1, and we ended up winning, and it was just bragging rights going to middle school. It was so much fun.
Hell yeah. And me and Darren were actually talking about that today. It was like I don't know. I was so speedy as a kid, and then as
Mhm.
time got on, more shifty than straightaway speed. But it's funny that you mentioned that because yeah, we were talking about that today. I think we were just talking about the kids and how no, she's a little bit more clumsy than she likes to admit, and so
I
we're
mean,
like,
she was clumsy when she was fast, so
Yes, exactly. So we're always trying to see what our future kids will have kind of in their genetics built into them, which is super fun. So, no, that's awesome. I think our first memory, I remember I think it was my 7th grade birthday party or
yeah, birthday party too with
7-year-old birthday party where we were at this old skating rink that hasn't been there in almost probably 20 years now.
dang.
Um, but I remember us being there and having a good time. But the reason I remember it so vividly is that was the first time I remember throwing my guts up because I had like half the cake and a bunch of ice cream. And of course, so I still have pictures of us there and a bunch of other people that were there. So no, I think that's really cool. But I mean, that goes to show we go so far back that I mean, there's just
Mhm.
so many memories tied
There's so
between
many
us,
different
and
ones to pick from.
I know, and we
You
and we
could
still are
even go,
building
like,
those.
the one birthday party you had where we did Nerf Wars downstairs,
Mm,
and then you got Parker Skank on the other side. "The shadow is down." That was hilarious.
yeah,
That is a memory.
yeah.
That's
I
a
mean,
memory.
we have so much, and it's so cool. And I like to talk a lot about how it's just like a lot of the times when you're looking back, and now that we've gotten to a certain age where we do live, we're still creating a lot of memories, but there's a lot of times where we're working all the time, and there's just a lot of things going on in our lives, where we get to take the time now to look back and reflect on things that we've done and the connections that we've made, and realize how important some of those have been, and how impactful they've actually made our lives and kind of who we are. So, I've always appreciated you being there for me, and I know we continue to make more. I know we got a big boys trip coming up
Yeah,
here in a
yeah.
couple of months. We got the
Yeah,
World
yeah,
Cup
yeah.
coming,
That's
so
so much fun.
soccer has always been one big thing that's connected you and me too. I think is whether it was
Agreed,
from
we've
playing
played it for a
FIFA,
long time.
playing soccer together physically in high school, and so on and so forth. So I think that's a really special sport that's tied you, me, and a lot of our other friends. Even though you're a Chelsea supporter,
Yeah, yeah,
I still
yeah,
have to
yeah,
love you,
yeah, yeah. Personal.
but you don't give me as much grief as
Close.
Kubat does, so it's okay.
No, no, I don't.
It'll be all right. But
I'm a fair weather friend when it comes to sports. I don't
yeah.
really care that much.
That's good. We like that. But I know a lot of the times I like to talk about how I always moved out of the Midwest, and a lot of times how I say that moving was one of the best decisions I ever made for myself personally. I know from your experience, and we've talked about it in the past, but you've talked about moving out of the Midwest, even though you haven't quite got that opportunity to. But what do you think is kind of? Do you have like a timeline, an updated timeline on when you're trying to do that, or what is your kind of plans with the Midwest?
I mean, I'm just kind of feeling it out right now. I really want to move up in the store I'm at. I enjoy working where I'm at.
Hmm.
I enjoy some of the people where I'm at. I don't, yeah, I mean, in the next like before I turn 35, I want to live where I'm supposed to be living. I don't want to be in the lakes. I don't want to be in Spencer. Like it's okay for others to be like, "Yeah, I grew up in a small town. I'm going to stay here." I don't want that. Like that is just boring to me. I want
Mhm.
to go somewhere that's new.
Yeah.
I
No,
want to experience all that experience. Like I love going on the guys trips we've been on, what, 3 years now,
yeah.
because we always pick a different place and it's always interesting to go there because it's while you're there we're doing like lively things to like everyday things, like we're going out to eat, we're going to the mall, we're going shopping, we're going all this random shit, and it's just so cool to do all that stuff in a different place and understand and like learn that different place because it's so neat to go to a different place and do that.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think that's, me and Darren have found out about ourselves, even though we've moved a lot of the times into a lot of different things, that it's that eagerness to learn new things and to experience new things that we're like, maybe we won't ever have like a complete settle down where we live there for 20, 30 years. Cause the things you just said, it's just like, it's so unique and so fun to experience different things and see different towns and cities. And, even like Oklahoma City when we went to last year, it didn't seem that different than Kansas City in a sense, but it was still being able to have that experience and being able to go around the entire city and drive there and all that fun stuff. I think leaves lasting memories. And I think that's one of the coolest things that we do as a group is that no matter what we got going on in our lives, that we get together at least once a year as an entire group to share some memories together and try and, just experience some fun, and it's not easy, even if, we live all across the continental United States to get together. And so, I know that's always been one of your things is that trying to get out of the Midwest, but I think you're on the right trajectory in the sense that you have a stable job and a job that you enjoy doing, to say the least. And so then that you can continue to progress your career forward. And so that is a huge testament to you. Like came on and said that he knew that one of the first steps to getting out of the Midwest is giving himself the ability, like the repertoire, to actually have something so that when he goes to those cities that he actually has something to build off of rather than trying to start from scratch. So, I know we love your pictures on the internet, and I know you love me in them. So,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a
There,
good thing though.
there might be a dress one coming up soon, so stay posted for that. That was an interesting conversation the other day.
Listen, you can't get as down bad as my father did when they had him on a poster sitting in the front of the Walmart entrance. A
Go
picture
with
here
a
and there doesn't
peacock
hurt.
outfit or whatever he was wearing.
He had a legit, like, 6-foot poster of himself in the cardboard cutout at the front of the Walmart, and literally had to sit there for weeks, and, of
I
course,
mean,
he's
I've put like
cheesing
whipped
and
cream on my face. I've put like pie filling on my. I've worn some pretty out there outfits. Pretty hilarious.
hey, that's okay.
Pretty
It's
fun.
I
Why
I
not?
think it builds team camaraderie. People obviously people look up to you and see you as, a confidant. And so I think that, when you can build an environment like that and actually enjoy going to work, nobody likes going to work. If you had going to work or getting paid to sit on the
Yeah, you got to
couch, I
make it
mean,
fun while you're
uh,
there. No one
yeah,
likes putting in 40 hours, but if you're gonna put in 40 hours, make it tolerable. Like
yeah,
it's not that hard. Have fun
no,
while you're at work. Honestly, it's not that serious.
I
Even
agree
if
with
you work
that.
in a corporation like Walmart, like I do, it's not that serious.
Yeah.
It's not. It's really not.
No, I like the way you say that because it's the truth. Like you look at your life and the number of hours are that in a week, you're only taking 40 of that into your job. Like, yes, you want to be professional and you want to advance your career, but like you said, it's not the end of the world. If you forget to do something or you mess up on a slip or whatever the case may be, it's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna be the end all be all. Just enjoy your time. Yeah, don't stress out too much about it. Everybody's got bills to pay, everybody's got things to stress out about. The one less thing that you can stress about is your job when you're actually there. So, I like the way you said that. But
And while you're working, friendly reminder, take your PTO.
mm,
I am a terrible person at not taking it and letting Walmart pay me out for it and tax me for it. Take
yeah,
your
well,
PTO, people. Your vacation is meant for you. You earned it. Take it. Don't let them take it for you. Take it when you
it's
want
true.
to.
My dad's learning that the hard way too. Where yeah, he literally I think just took 2.5 weeks off because he's like, I don't
Yeah,
know
I
what to do.
literally
I
just
got so
had
much
a week
time.
and a half off, and then I put in for another week off during the Masters just so I have time. Otherwise, my time's taken from me. Like
Yeah,
I literally was at 140 hours and I got cut all the way back to 88 because I didn't take enough.
Hmm.
And that's just a consistent thing I do because I just forget to take time.
Mm. Hey, that I mean, that shows to your dedication to the place, which is awesome, don't get me wrong, but like you said, take your time, it's your time, you've earned that time, take it off, come see the boys, come down to KC, all the fun stuff, but,
Miss you
um
in Oregon. Sure, go.
yeah, it was a good
Kubat's still
time.
there. Maybe.
Yeah, he gets lonely, you can go see him,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But finally being alone and kind of on your own, obviously we had everybody in at college where we had almost, I think, 8 or 9 guys there, and we did that throughout, high school, middle school, always having people there. But now you're kind of finally out on your own and kind of away from everybody. What has that kind of taught you about yourself and like how you go about day-to-day business, I guess you could say?
Um, I'm not very good with my free time. I don't use it very productively.
Mm,
I come home and I'll hit my pen and I'll have a few drinks and play games, and that's pretty much it. I don't do anything productive really, which is depressing, and it's sad to like recognize that, but at the same time, like I know that they're making a new gym in Spirit Lake. I'm going to commit to going because it's literally a minute from work,
mm.
and I just have to get back into the mindset of doing stuff for me instead of coming home and just turning on my PlayStation and just moping around. Like that's not healthy. You need to. I can't. I don't sleep that well at night, so like getting energy out, like use the energy you go to work. If you don't use all of your energy when you're at work, go work out, go do some other activity to burn stuff off. Go walk, listen to music, write, draw, do something to like take your time up rather than get on your PlayStation or PC and just play games all day. Like it's not as productive as I should be. I just
Yeah.
feel like I could better use my time, and I'm trying to get into a better habit of that.
Yeah, it's the culture of creating habits for sure. But I was in the exact same spot that you were at. I was telling Darian it was like, yes, I could come home and play games from 6 o'clock till midnight or 1 in the morning, but if you do that 7 days a week, that's a full time job right there. It's like,
Mhm.
why am I committing a full time job's worth to sitting around and not doing anything? So it's like, yeah, creating those little habits where it's like now I'm trying to, get into books or even like with the podcasting thing. I'm like, I
Mhm.
can still commit 2, 3 hours of the night to this and still be able to hop on and play games with the boys if I need to, even when the kids to bed, all that fun stuff. So I think, yeah, it's just that time management. Well, the first step obviously is acknowledging that, yeah, hey man, I'm just playing too many games, I'm just chilling, I'm kicking it too much. And I don't think there's anyone out there that can honestly say that they haven't had that realization, it's just more of what do you do with that realization after you realize it? Do you take advantage of it? Do you make actions on top of that to make it a better, more more of a routine, to make it the best version of yourself? But no, I think that's awesome that you kind of recognize that. But at the same time, when we're having so much fun with the boys, it's kind of hard not to. It's kind of hard not to get on the
There
games and
are
have
some
fun.
nights where it's just a time and a half. There are some nights.
Yeah,
Like
I
making
think
that
so.
FIFA playlist, and then we all join the jam, so we're all listening to the same song, and we can all sing along and do like a karaoke while we're just slamming kids on FIFA. Great time.
Great
Great
time.
time.
Yeah, you gotta have those moments, right? You gotta give a certain amount of time, and I mentioned that before too, where it's like even Darian checks in, she's like, "Are you going to play with the boys tonight?" Like you gotta have some guys time, I'll put the kid to bed, you go hang out with the guys, whatever you need to do. So definitely a balance, finding that sweet spot where you can be both productive but also have me time where you can be lazy and you can, relax. Cause obviously with you working as hard as you are, if you're trying to double down and put too much on your workload, I mean, it could be a stressor as well. So, but yeah, I guess it kind of moves into the next question of like when you're looking at yourself 5 years down the line, what are some things that you would like to check off personally in like what you want to accomplish in the next 5 years?
So, like we talked about the moving in the Midwest, in the next 5 years, my goal is I want to move up and become a coach
Mm,
in a fresh coach for someone in the Walmart, whatever, work workforce. And preferably I would like to move somewhat south so I have less winter so I can golf more because I'm addicted to golfing.
mm-hmm.
It's like just the everyone says the grounding where you just barefoot for an hour a day like in your yard is supposed to just naturally heal you. Whenever I go golf, I am naturally most of the time I'm barefoot
I like that.
just because of the
Mhm.
grounding. It just feels
Yeah.
so good to get out on a golf course or just walk in your yard or walk outside for an hour and a half. Just walking in the grass is just therapeutic.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I had golfed when I was a kid, but I really hadn't gotten back into golfing until like 2 years ago, and there you're absolutely right, there is something so therapeutic about golf where it's like, if you don't commit 100% of your mental focus to that, then it's just terrible. So it's like, I literally have to shut out everything else out going on in the world for me to even play decent, and that but that's a good thing. Like, there's
Yeah.
gotta be something in your life where you can just turn everything off and just focus on something else, and I think for me, that's been golf, and I think that's for you too, where it's just like, no matter what's going on, like you said, even the feet thing, where it's just like getting in touch with Mother Nature, you know? There's nothing more that I like than sitting out and just getting the sun on my face and just doing a little breathing exercises and just taking in the moment, and it's the same
Mhm.
thing with golf, so I'm really glad that you've been able to find something like that. And yeah, definitely headed south. You got to come down a little bit more southern so you can
Yeah.
play. So it's not just 3 months, 4 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Maybe not as far south as Arizona or anything crazy, but
No, 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 no. I don't need to go that far south.
yeah. But that's awesome. Well, I guess with that, and so say you move out, say you get that next position, and then you move down to the south, wherever you may end up. Do you think that starting a family is in the future for you as well, or have you thought about that really at all?
I'm the one guy in this friend group has not really given any thought or I would love to get married. I haven't given much thought to it because it's not something I chase.
Mm,
Like I'm not the person to Snapchat. I'm not going to DM people. Like I want to do it in real life, but at the same time coming from the divorced parents that I came from, I had a little different outlook on love. So it's a
mm,
little more I struggle with the verbal communication part of it because I didn't have a father teaching me how to do it.
mm. I think that's fair. Um, and I knew Scott, and Scott's obviously a great guy, and everybody, I think anyone who's met Scott would say, "Oh yeah, that's Scott's a great Scott Barrett's a great
Mhm.
guy."
He's a
Um,
great dude, just not in a relationship wise, just not the
yeah,
father figure in that sense. Great father figure in every other sense, but the relationship wise is just not his thing.
yeah, and I think for not being able to maybe see that is definitely hard. So, and since you haven't been in a ton of relationships, you haven't, I guess, had the opportunity to make those mistakes. In your sense, maybe it's going to require a couple of those mistakes. Maybe getting into some relationships, making mistakes, and then having to move on from those relationships for you to see what's actually out there. Or maybe you get it right the first time. I've always said that you are one of the nicest, genuine humans that I've ever met, and I truly think that if you put yourself out there when you're ready, of course, that when someone got to meet the true you and you got to be yourself around them, I think that you would knock it out of the park. So, but obviously that does come with time, and a lot of times, people can't, whether you're focusing on yourself, your career, or just kind of the advancements in your own life, it is hard to kind of bring somebody else into that mix when you're not even sure where you're at. And so, but I always like to tell people too, it's like, I think having somebody also shows you what you didn't know was out there or what you didn't even know you wanted in the first place, right? Where when you get into a relationship and start where it's like a two-way street, you start to see the other side of the road, where you start to see what their interests are, their hobbies, and you get to show them yours as well. And then it just starts to kind of create this bond. And so I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. I've talked about the divorce rate on this podcast where it's like the divorce rate is alarmingly high, and
Mhm.
it does happen because a lot of people just jump into things too fast, and then life takes its course, or maybe they just weren't meant to be in the beginning. So it is tough, but it's good to know that yeah, it's at the end of the day you do want to have a family and have those relationships, but I guess it's up to you to decide when you're ready for all that, because obviously the dating game out there ain't the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's interesting in the Midwest.
Seems to be getting harder every day.
Yeah,
So, but whenever you're ready for that next step, I definitely think that you'll be ready to handle it. And like I said, I think you're a great guy, and I think you have a lot to offer to people. You just haven't been given that opportunity to show it yet. So,
thank you.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what the future brings.
Just haven't
But
been brave enough. It's all right.
we'll
Late
be there.
bloomer, as they say.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, I'll be there every step of the way. Any way we can help, we're gonna make it happen. So, I told Kubat, I was like, I tried my best wingman for many years in Brookings, but
That was a great time. There were many a great times in Brookings. It was so funny. So funny. Uh,
when too many stories to tell around the round table, I suppose. But
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I
Maybe a
did.
few about Touchdown Jesus, maybe a nativity scene.
Yes, yes. Uh,
Yeah.
Good times, good times. But I guess rolling into like kind of the emotional side of you. I know that for you personally, you're not like a big emotional guy. You don't like to per se you maybe tell people all the emotions that you're feeling all the time. You're kind of more like me, I would say, in the sense that you just like to keep everything internal. You want to solve things out yourself because you know at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anyone else says or anyone else's opinion. You've got to figure it out yourself, you know? So, but what would you say is one of the hardest emotions that you have yet to figure out about yourself? What do you struggle with emotionally?
Jesus. Oh.
I can go first if you need me to.
I don't know. I think maybe it's gonna sound like what I think Matt would say too, but it's self-worth.
Mm,
Like I don't value myself high enough, and it's depressing because I know that I'm good enough for me, and I should just accept that rather than think I'm not doing well enough, even though I have so many good friends and family saying, "Hey, doing a great job," or my coworkers, "Hey, doing a great job," or like our market team for grocery stores. They have a market team. They go around, blah blah blah. They're higher ups. I've known our market manager for 10 years because he's the same one I did, same one who covered the store in Brookings. So I've
mm,
known him for 10 years.
yeah,
He does nothing but good words for me, and I love having him around. I love when he stops in. Like he stopped in as a secret shopper the other day. I
mm,
wasn't on the clock, but I helped him anyway
mm.
because that's the right thing to do. Like,
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The self-worth is something that I think every single person can say they struggle with, and it's hard. It is
it's
really,
almost
really
like a
hard.
scapegoat thing. Like I think most men could say self-worth. And they're like you could riddle off reasons like I'm not good enough in my marriage. I drink too much, I smoke too much. It's all the little things. But like
Mhm.
all the little things you can control. It's like that shouldn't be one of the things you're being annoyed by. You're the one controlling it. So just control it.
Yeah.
Stuff gets out of control sometimes. Like I'll admit I probably drink too much. But like there are so many other Americans who do it way worse than I do. So like I control it enough to where I'm going to bed on my own power. I'm not like in college where you drink a Four Loco and you pass out on the couch. Like I'm
Yeah.
making it. I'm eating. I'm going to sleep. Like it's just I need something to like cool me down and like mellow me out before I go to bed.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. You know, it's just one of those things where yeah, it's the self-worth is it's weird. It's so weird. And I've still in those shoes where I'm the same way. It's I think the perfection is the hardest thing as men that we try and do is that we are trying to be perfect in all facets of life, but it's just like and I had the conversation with Burns too, where it was like, even though let's say we know I need to go scoop the snow, right?
Hmm.
In a man's mind, at least from what I can conjure up and who I've talked to, our brain says, "Well, we gotta go do it all at once. We gotta go knock it out right now. It's gotta be perfect. This has to be done." And the reality is maybe we can take it in parts. Maybe we can just chip away at it. Maybe you can, just get the sides done and then take a break, do this, that, and the other thing. But I think in a man's brain, it's just everything all at once. Oh, I drink too much. I gotta stop drinking tomorrow, right? But
Hmm.
that's not realistic, that's not feasible. Maybe there's 8 feet of snow out there, maybe it's not feasible to do it all in one go, right? And so, I think as men, it should be more appropriate for us to talk about how we can take steps in the right direction and how we can take little chisel off a little bit of the armor as we go, rather than trying to figure it all at once, you know? I think we can all agree that men definitely try and perfect things, and I'm not just saying men only. I think everybody tries a little bit too hard to be perfect in a lot of aspects of their life, whether it's work, family, anything in between. So, but I think everybody knows. You can't be perfect. I mean, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect at anything that they do. So I think just trying to maybe not even be a master, but just be a professional. Be a professional at everything that you do, whether it's, your relationships, your work, your friendships, whatever it is. Just try and be as professional as you can and be good at it in some degree.
Yeah, just approach it all with the same amount of purpose,
I
basically.
like that. I like that. Yeah. What is something that you once strongly believed in, but eventually outgrew?
I love my grandparents,
Mhm, mhm,
but I grew up believing they were the perfect people on a side of my family. And then I grew up knowing that I had a cousin who's in the LGBTQ community and is a cross dresser, has a husband now and whatnot. Um, I didn't know when he was younger that my grandpa and his his dad, Noah's dad, my cousin, he got taken to the Zippers, which is no longer a thing, and it's a strip club in
mm,
Spirit Lake, Iowa. Used to be a strip club. He obviously gay. They took him there and tried to basically corrupt him back into saying he wasn't gay, and they did that, and I didn't know about it until a few years ago when my mom had spoken about it. And I just growing up knowing my grandparents and how much they gave to me and how nice they were, I don't understand where that mean bone comes from in some people. Like I don't get how on picture or on paper you're 100% the most genuine human being and then you do something like that, but you hide it and don't tell anyone. That's
mm.
wild. That's wild to me. Like that was disappointing for me to hear. I love them still.
Yeah.
I don't think of them of any less. It's just that is a tarnish spot.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's in not every situation, but yeah, I think the more you find out about, I guess, people in general is that everybody's not the perfect as they seem to be.
Yeah, it's the random stuff your family or other people's families do in the background that you don't necessarily see. But down the line, your parents are like, "Oh, your grandpa used to do this, and like your grandpa used to say this," and it's like he grew up in the time of African Americans. Is yeah, he's saying the word and he means it, and it's kind of wild that we're young enough to have grandparents that grew up in that generation that are fine with that. That was normal to them. That is wild nowadays. I can't even think about even thinking about that.
Yeah. It is crazy how little of time goes by, but how much change
How much change?
occurs.
Yeah.
And I think that now more than ever, I think we can't even go 5 years without everything seeming to switch to polar opposites of each other or to a completely different direction, which is
God
kind of
bless the internet,
insane.
man.
Yeah, and it's definitely gotta attest a lot to that, there's no doubt about that, and so I think that it's very different, yeah, where our grandparents or, even some of our parents, where you lived in a culture and society that didn't change as frequently as ours, that was kind of you just kept up with the cultural norms for 15, 20 years, where now you can't even go 6 months without the new trend, the new fashion, this, that, the other thing, and
Mhm.
so I think that definitely impacts us a lot in living in this generation, and especially now me trying to raise kids, they're gonna live in a world where nothing's the same ever. Everything's always changing, everything's different, and so yeah, it's a good thing to point out that, yeah, we're living in very different times. So a lot of the people that, you love and admire your whole life, when you get to a certain age or a point when you get to reflect back on some things, you're like, man, maybe that wasn't exactly how I remember seeing it growing up, you had those kid goggles on, when you're a kid,
Mhm.
everything's swell
Yeah.
and perfect and dandy, but as you get older, you're like, oh man, the world's not quite, I guess, what I thought it was. And so that's kind of a hard realization. It honestly is, where you wake up one day and you're just like, man, that's just not what I thought it was, or that's just not
Like
what reality
it's like
was the
the
whole time.
growing older and Christmas, how Christmas changes. You
Whew.
go from being a kid and you're with your family all the time and all your cousins are there and everything. And then as you age, you get less and less cousins, and then you get less and less family. And there's just you and your family, or you and your mom alone. And then or you and your dad alone, or it's your family and you're the one creating all those memories. And it's just kind of a wild timeline.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. You know, where it's like now Christmas, even though we celebrate it wholeheartedly, it seems like another day sometimes, and I hate that because I remember so vividly some of my favorite memories as a kid is Christmas time and going to my grandparents' house and like you said, being around all the family, and I can just relive those moments in my head. But now it's just like yeah, we went to Christmas this year, and I even this year, unfortunately, had to look back and, like, what'd I do the last 4 Christmases, you know? It's
Yeah.
just like, man, and, you know, some of that childhood magic is gone, but then it's like, I also gotta turn the script and be like, "Okay," and we're already talking about it this year for Christmas, even though it's fucking February, and we're like, you know, "How do we make this so memorable?" You know, now that we have kids, and it's just like, we gotta make everyone count because eventually they're gonna run out, the Christmas
Yeah.
magic's gonna run out,
It's
and
like
that
the
sucks.
it's like the Polar Express movie where you can only hear the bell if you believe, and then
Mhm,
he
mhm,
eventually, as an adult, quits hearing the bell. Like,
eh
there will be a time in your life
mm.
where I remember as a kid, um, me and my brother sharing a room upstairs in our house in Spencer when we lived on the corner by the high school, and I remember my parents put so much effort in to making a memory one year that my dad got up on the roof and was stomping around like he was Santa, pretending he was Santa on the roof. And me and my brother obviously woke up because he did it loud enough. And then he obviously we didn't fall asleep right away because we're young kids. We want to see Santa. I'm like
Hell yeah.
creeping out. I'm like sitting up in bed. I'm like, yo, where's the big man? I'm about to go catch him outside with my presents. But it's not that. Like, it's just my dad and mom put in so much effort to do that, where he's stomping on the roof. He's making like we had an old chimney in that house. He had bought in charcoal or something and spread charcoal all over like the front first foot and a half of the chimney. And then obviously every year your parents wake up. I think everyone puts out milk and cookies when they're younger. And you wake up and you see the cookies are eaten and the milk is drank. Like it's just fond stuff like that.
Yeah. You know, I think I'm gonna have to put a glass of whiskey out for Santa, if you know what I mean, this, coming up, but,
Yeah,
no,
Santa might enjoy more than milk.
I I do remember my mom always used to put carrots out for reindeer, and I was like, "No, the reindeer want fucking cookies, mom. I don't know what you're talking about. Get out of here with that." No, you're right, you're absolutely right, keeping that magic alive for as long as you possibly can is definitely huge. And that's just a part of being an adult is everything that you once thought was some type of way, I think gets altered. And I think eventually when you have a different view on it as life goes on. And that's one of the hardest parts about growing up, being an adult now is that you just get to re-experience those things, but it's not the same. The magic's kind of
You get to
dwindling.
create those experiences for your children, which is beautiful.
And it's cool. It is really cool. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about is all the holidays and all the things that we get to do. But I guess keeping back with your younger self, kind of going back to that question, what do you think your younger self would be most surprised to learn about who you are today?
Um, surprised about?
I always use the one where it's like if I would have told my 10-year-old or 12-year-old self that I have 2 kids and a wife, I would have shit my pants then and there. Wouldn't have believed it.
Fair. I think mine is I started working in a grocery store when I was 15
Mm-hmm.
and I've never left. Like
Yeah.
I've changed companies from one to another, but I haven't left. And I wouldn't have thought that in a million years that I would have grown comfortable enough in a retail grocery store space that I wouldn't leave. That's
Yeah.
something that has me like I didn't really think that it would happen. Like I went to SDSU, I got in, obviously got my degree, and I haven't done anything with it because I'm just comfortable enough being in where I'm at.
Yeah. I remember you at Hy-Vee where you're like, "Oh, I hate this shit. I'm not everybody yeah. I'm
The
not
amount of
gonna
times
keep
I
doing
didn't go to
this."
work because I didn't have a call-in policy
Yeah, and
and stayed
so
at home with the boys instead.
So, yeah, that to me did surprise me too for a while because, yeah, I just remember how you were so avid about it when you were at Hy-Vee, but obviously then you went to Walmart and now everything's, played out the way it's supposed to, which is great. But yeah, no, I think that's a good one because, yeah, I definitely think even younger Dylan would have been surprised if we said, "Hey, Andrew's still kicking it over at the Walmart retail." It's like, and I've done retail too. I've done years of
Yeah,
retail
no, yeah,
myself,
yeah.
and it is a
I think
different
majority of
beast.
us in our friend group, besides maybe 2 or 3 of us that worked at Walmart,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, retail for Walmart for a while, and then, yeah, the actually retail world of sales is yeah,
that's gotta be mental, huh?
retail is a beast. So, but, like, at the same time, I say it all the time, I'd go back to retail any day of the week. I love retail, you know? It is a different beast, but you gotta have a personality for it, or at least the willingness to kind of get beat down by some of the people, but I don't know. There was a little niche that I found about myself too that I kinda liked. I don't know. That was when you're kind of in the groove and the swing of retail, it can be fun. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
It it's fun. You get to see, like, there's some people who come into the grocery store, they're there every day, like, they come in every single day. They might be extra online order people, they might do their own shopping, like, every single day. It's just kinda neat seeing the same faces, and you can almost guess what they're gonna buy sometimes before they get there. Just seeing normal, repetitive faces is just kind of fun, even if it's the people who are mean to you. Because I've had quite a few people who are very rude, and I've been called some names that I don't care for. Um, and then she turns around and asks someone arguably older than she was where this item was, and it's like, "Ma'am, like, I I'm perfectly capable of helping you. You just don't want it."
Right. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's fair. Retail, that happens. It definitely
There's a
happens.
lot of goofy situations in retail, but
You
got
got to
to make the
shrug it
best of
off.
it. Most of them are fun.
Yeah. Well, that's very true. I mean, that's life though. You just gotta shrug it off, go to the next person, right? Because and I think retail will teach you a lot. And I do say that for most people, if you're looking to, get in the environment of working with people, you gotta go to retail first. The first thing
Yeah,
you gotta
I
do is
feel
go to
like
retail.
everyone just needs to work a year or 2 in retail and then understand. That way, you get a better level of understanding and respect for the people who work in said areas of the country. Because furniture business, grocery stores, even like pop fulfillment centers are the same way. You have the same people doing a set task all day long on a set timer to do a set amount of work before they go home. Like it's everywhere. You have task times everywhere. It's not just in retail that you have task times. Like everyone has it, and everyone has like that sale thing. I'm sure you have a quota that you're supposed to hit or whatnot every month that you try to hit, like
Oh
sales
yeah.
target. It's the same thing pretty much everywhere. So, like, if you're in a business, respect the people working at that business. They are trying their best to serve you. And if you are unhappy with their service, I'm not going to be the guy who tells you you're in the wrong, but most of the time you're probably in the wrong and you just need to relax.
Just take a breath. Yeah, it's not the end of the world, like we mentioned before. And you're absolutely right. I still remember vividly. One of my favorite customers was that she bought a $13 lamp and it got shipped to her, and the lampshade was slightly dented, and she was visibly shaking when she brought in the lampshade and was like, "Yeah, I need a refund right now." And I'm just like, "Dude, it's
Mm,
not that big of a fucking deal." But that's retail. That's people. You
yeah.
get to see
It's
every
like
walk
you
of
can
life.
literally go to Walmart and buy a shade for like $8.
It's yeah, it's silliness. So, but moving on from that, what would you say is one of the most painful truths that you've had to accept about yourself as you've kind of gone on this journey of trying to figure more about yourself? What's something that you're like, you know what, I gotta admit that, and that kind of hurts to admit.
I think I'm a little bit big on talk where I say that I'm going to do things and then I negate to do those said things. Say, I'm gonna like we talked earlier. I'm gonna get that gym membership. I'm gonna go. It's 5 minutes away, and then the gym opens, and you're like, oh, it's 5 minutes away.
It
I don't want to go. And it's like, oh, so you just lied to yourself for the past 6 months about wanting to do something, and now you're not gonna do it
yes,
just because of
um,
pure laziness
yes,
or the lame excuse of, oh, I don't have the money. Well, you would have the money if you quit doing some of these other things and spending money on some of these other things, then you'd have the money to do it. It's just
Yeah.
being a creature of habit and doing said things and continuing doing said things, and you don't give yourself the time and focus on getting back to the task that you promised to yourself.
I had this similar conversation with Berends in the sense of it's hard to depend on yourself when you're not dependable. In the essence of you that you just won't, even though you say it, you just don't follow through with it. And I don't think there's anyone out there who's not guilty of said things, but it's
Mhm,
just winning those little battles. Yes, okay, I did lie to myself today. I said after I get off work, I'm not gonna grab that 6 pack. I'm just gonna go home and sit at home. Guess what?
mhm,
I grabbed a 12 pack and life's going down. But guess what? Tomorrow I'm gonna set the same goal, right? Just taking the little
mhm,
things, a little chip. But I think you're right. I think it's a super hard thing because everyone talks a big game. Everybody talk. You're
mhm,
laying in bed, you're like, oh, tomorrow I'm gonna wake up early. I'm gonna go to hit a bunch of golf balls before work, and then after work I'm gonna go get a workout in. Blah blah blah. And then it's 10 o'clock the next night, and you're
and you
pissed
haven't done
drunk,
it?
and
Yeah,
you're like, well, fuck. And so,
yeah.
um, but it's I would just say encourage to not stop believing in yourself. Just don't stop having those battles, but at least acknowledge it. Say, hey, you know what? I lied to myself today. I don't want that to happen tomorrow. Okay, cool. That's a small goal, right?
Yeah,
Rather than like, well, I'm never gonna lie to myself again. Well, that's not true. You're gonna lie to yourself. It's gonna happen. But guess what? Maybe tomorrow I don't have to lie to my. Maybe in the next 5 minutes I say, hey, I'm not gonna check my phone for 5 minutes. Let's hold myself accountable to that 5 minute goal, right? Just doing the little things to get in repetition. So then when you finally get to the bigger goals that you're trying to accomplish, you can finally make light of those. So I think that's an awesome one. I really do because I think a lot of people out there know exactly what you're talking about. Myself included. So, but let's turn the pace a little bit with this and look a little bit more towards like a spiritual route. So, when you think about faith, spirituality, or maybe even higher power, where do you personally stand on like the idea of God?
I believe in him. He's up there somewhere.
Do you think in the
He's
sense
created
of
all of us for a certain purpose. I think everyone is born with a purpose. I think some people just take longer to find it.
So you take more of the traditional route of that we were all created for a reason and that everybody's put on this world for a reason. Whether we find out when that reason is, do you think that's more of do you think that we are given the power to find out why we're put here, or do you think that maybe it's God's journey in kind of not guiding you until a certain time?
I think when you're made, God has implanted basically a tree, and the route's yours to choose from. You get, or he's given you probably a few paths to pick from, and how your decisions dictate the path you take. Whether you want to go way on this left side of the tree because it's cool and it's got cherry blossoms, or you want to go on this right side because it's like a weeping willow and it has vines and stuff, or you want to go down the middle. You want to be like a basic spruce tree. Cool. Do whatever you want to do. But you get to pick that path. That's not on anyone else in life but you.
Yeah. I think a big word that I always use is choices. Everybody has a choice every single day when you wake up, whether you choose to do things or not. And like we said, we talk about want to give yourself opportunities, but you choose not to take them, or you want to, you choose to do the things that you know aren't good for you. But I think that's a lot of times it gets confused or misconstrued of whether that's a higher power trying to guide you in a certain way, if that's you ignoring a higher power, or kind of everything in between. But has there been any like experiences that have led you to believe in God, or kind of anything experience wise that has shaped your life into believing in a higher power?
Um, I think I went through it a little harder than Burns did when everyone graduated and moved away. Like that hurt. That hurt like a bitch. That hurt a lot. And that's kind of when I started drinking a lot. Um, I think that is one of the things where he's like, I grew up with all everybody. You grow up with everybody, and then I've been with you guys for like 20 years, and then everyone moves away in a split second, and then you're like, oh, that 30-second trip down the stairs to talk to Dylan or Tyler about stuff. is all virtual now. Like I can't do it in person. Like it's
Yeah,
got completely different. And it's that hurt. That hurt a
yeah.
lot when everybody left.
Yeah, I remember, yeah, even I got lucky and, Kubat decided to come out with us and we made that trip, but even when he finally moved out, I definitely took all those times for granted, however many
Hmm.
times we played games together and,
Or
Darren
the
always
the
be
nights at
like,
Matt's house where all like 10 of
"Oh,
us are at Matt's house all in one
yeah."
house.
We got all the systems together, definitely, yeah, making it nice and toasty down there with all the PlayStations running
The
and
Mountain Dew parties.
Mountain Dew parties, but yeah, man, it's
Late
just
night trips
like,
to Hy-Vee at like 2 a.m. when I'm
ah,
supposed to work at 5.
yes. It's just like when those even though maybe, Darren knows you say, "Well, you guys just play video games, like, you guys can do that outside," but it's like, that's not the point. It's having the accessibility that
It's
just
the camaraderie
truly
and the brotherhood of playing them together. Like when we were in college. You, me, Tyler, Kubat, and Austin towards the end. There's
Mhm,
what, 5, 6 of us? And Levi upstairs, all playing pro clubs in the same house.
mhm. Just
It was
being
kind
able
of
to
mental. Like we're half a team
yeah.
in one, all in the same house. Like we don't have to be in a party chat if we don't want. We could just yell.
We could just enjoy each other's company and,
It
yeah,
was
play it all
fantastic.
together. Or all the trivia nights we had and
The trivia nights, or me working 1 to 10 and coming home to seeing you and Kubat playing Fishing Planet
Hmm.
and full fishing gear
Oh, yeah.
was so funny. So funny. I did not expect to walk into 2 kids in like the classic Carhartt or Berkeley fishing vest, fishing hat. Like you guys are mental for doing that. And that was so hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta make the most of all your opportunities, We had a ton of fun doing it,
Or
and
the
I
two,
don't
what was it when not squad battles, division rivals updated,
mhm,
and you, me, and Kubat were grinding FIFA all week long, and then we'd come home and just we knew when we got done at the bar at 2 that we had our rewards, and
mhm,
we could go home at like 1 o'clock and open our rewards and play FIFA for another few hours before we all passed out. That was fun time too. What a year! That was
good
the year of the
times.
Mario Balotelli flashback. May he rest in peace.
It's good, man.
Such a
That's a
great card.
goddamn good man.
What a great card.
No, I like that. So I guess going back to kind of the God question, do you think that God plays a part in your daily life, or do you think he's more of just kind of that, angel on the shoulder that just kind of tries to help give you the guidance that you need when you need it?
I'd say it plays a part, helps me wake up every morning, even when I don't want to some days.
Mm. That's a good point. That's also another good question to ask is like what kind of gets you out of bed in the morning? What's the overall ending driving factor that says, "Hey, fuck it," even though you get up at 5 or your shift start at 5 in the morning, so I know
Yeah,
you've
I'm
got
up
it worse than
3:30
most
tomorrow morning.
people. Yeah, where it's like, what gets you at 3:30 in the morning to not hit that snooze button and say, "Fuck it, let's take on the day."
I know that I'm providing a service, as basic as that sounds.
No, I like that.
I know that I get to go into work, and whether my area is stocked well or not, that I get to influence and upgrade my area or other people's areas if my area doesn't need the help. I feel like in retail, you have to be such an overreaching and outreaching hand. You can't be just in one area. Even if you're like management, which I'm a team lead, not quite up there yet, but even then, if you're done with all your stuff and your process is done and you have extra hours, go help your peers. Go help everybody else. Like if you're done and that's all you finish your 8 hours of work in 6 hours that day, that's 2 hours of complete volunteerness to just go do and be a servant to anyone else in that store and help them.
Yeah.
And it's simple. You just do it. You shouldn't be asked to do it. You should just do it.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. And I think that's part of a community, right? Where if you can look to the left and right and everybody just play their part and do what they're supposed to do, then that's awesome, and that's what you want to build, and so that the next man up will do the same thing that you're doing, and it just creates a positive environment and a positive community, and I think that's anyone anyone out there would say that's what they want. They want positivity. They want good camaraderie in their lives, no matter whether it's the workplace, even going to that store. Like you said, you're doing the little things right. So then when they're actually there, they can feel comfortable. They feel like there's a service provided to them. And it just goes around. The world just keeps going around. I always use the term karma, where it's like you're putting good out into the world
Hmm.
and you should get good back. I firmly believe in that. So I just, I think that's a huge thing. So.
Mhm.
But let's look so, like, kind of going off the basis of God, when you think about, like, the origin story of humanity, what version of our beginning makes the most sense to you? Would you say science plays a part in it, or do you think it's just purely spiritual?
I'd say a little bit. It's almost got to be a mixture of both, but I think mainly spiritual.
Okay. I know you said you think humans were created with a purpose or intention. Do you think that there's like a timeline that you could put on it, or do you think it's just more of when things were played out the way it was supposed to be? God put humans on the earth, and then we've just kind of taken over, and science plays a factor in that because obviously we weren't created yesterday. But
Mm-mm. Um, Obviously, there's science to it because, like, if you think about like what we came from, we mutated and grew from essentially gorillas or whatever they were called. I can't remember what they're
primates,
called.
yeah,
Primate, yeah. I knew there was like a certain word. But like that just shows evolution. Like you change, everyone changes and everything changes in time. And you have to either progress with the time or and change with the times, or you get left in those times. And we've seen multiple like species of animal or civilizations, even if that's what you want to say. Like the Mayans, you had a lot of other countries that just fell off the face of the earth just because they didn't evolve.
yeah. Whatever happened to them. Yeah, they didn't move on with the times, and whether they dispersed or how they dispersed is always a mystery. But yeah, I think it's an interesting line that you play with, because I think it's hard to deny either side, right? Where it's like scientifically, well, we can basically trace back hundreds of thousands of years and tie
Hmm.
DNA strands to say, hey, yes, we can create a trail that says, yes, this is where we evolved from and how we got here. But then there's also the spiritual realm of it, where it's like, well, when it comes to, like, written word or even pictures, like,
Yes, we
we
have
have
all these different books depicting
we
all
have a
these
lot.
different images and styles of how that Jesus or that said person lived and how he did and what he did while he was living and how he did it. And it's like you can say science is 100% the thing, but like there has to be a spirituality part of it. Like the us people aren't here like I'm not going to say we're the highest functioning, but we have the ability of thought and we can put words into it. So we can verbalize these thoughts. And we wrote these books with the thoughts and the images, from what I assume, that some of these people went through. Some of these people have seen this thing. And I don't like some of those people, if you read the Bible, there are some people who have seen that. They saw that in real life. They saw that and they wrote about it. You
Yeah.
can't just throw that away because you think science is the number one thing. I don't think you could do that. There's way too much media and books on it to disregard and invalue that.
Yeah, I think it then falls into, yeah, the interpretation of it. It's like, well, maybe you can't deny that it didn't happen, but maybe we're just interpreting it a different way. And I think that a lot of the times in today's society, that is a big factor, is that we can all watch the same thing happen, but for some way or another, there's 8 different views that come out of it of
Mm,
what actually went down, which is crazy to say because we're all seeing the same thing. And it's kind of like with the gospel, where it's like everybody's writing the same book, everybody's saying the same things, but it's all interpreted in a completely different way from everybody's different perspective, which I think is crazy. But it's
mhm.
good to acknowledge, because yeah, it's like we have all these books, and whether it's pictograms, whether it's written diaries, whatever it is, from almost 6,000 years to present, we have all this information. But then you also got to factor in the myth aspects of things, where it's just the vocal stories that have been told for thousands,
Like, is
tens
it
of
a big
thousands of
game of
years.
telephone?
Yes.
Like, it
And
could not
so
happen. It's big. Life could be a big game of telephone.
yeah, and it's hard to rule out what's right and wrong because if we're gonna go basically solely on the fact of what we can physically hold on to, tangible evidence that way, then we have to rule out so many things of life. And it just I don't like thinking about life that way. I like to think about life of the possibilities. And in the sense of I like to think about it in saying that no one's wrong because I think it's super, super hard to say indefinitely 1000% that did or did not happen. You know, and I always go back to it's the same thing with God. I think you're extremely ignorant if you say that, nope, there's no God, fuck you. And you're extremely ignorant if you're like, there's only one God, this is a God. And if you don't, you're dying. It's like, so you got to fall in the middle. You got to fall in the middle where it's like, you got to have some type of balance of both. But that doesn't mean necessarily that you're right or you're wrong. So, but that's why I always like to ask people. I always like to see where your kind of stance is and what you think kind of the creation of everything. So, that's cool. But I guess kind of leaning on with the God and everything. So a lot of times with, spirituality and believing in a higher power that you think there's an afterlife. So what do you think happens after you die?
Oh, not gonna be nerdy and related to the Harry Potter movie when he
Why
goes into
not?
heaven, sees Dumbledore. But, like, I honestly think I think there might be a waiting period and a bridge and, like, a waiting room, and you get there, and then once you get out of the waiting room, whether that dictates you go down or you go up, I don't I believe maybe a waiting room and a decision, and then after that, it just is dark. Like, you either go up and you're accepted or you go down. And then once you go down, you're down. Like, it don't matter. Like, you're down there. I don't think anything else is gonna happen. And if you go up, you go up. I feel like you maybe get a slight feeling. I just think there's a slight waiting period, and then that's it. Like, I don't know. I feel like a following the light. I feel like I believe in following the light, and then when you get to said light, there's a room, and then you either see stairs or you go down, and that's it. Like, it's done. I think you fade to black. I think when you're dead, you're dead. I think, and the only way and reason I say there's a waiting room is that rigor mortis thing. Your brain's awake for what is it, 30 seconds to a minute and a half after you're dead or something like that.
And the
I
neurons are
feel
still
like
firing.
right when you die, you immediately go to judgment and you go up or down, and that's it. And then after your judgment, it's dark. Like, it's done.
Yeah, I like that take on it. I kind of put my own personal spin on it where I'm 100% right with you, where you go into that rigor mortis, you go and your neurons are still firing, and it's like you're literally the lasting seconds, your last seconds as a living organism. And I think it's more of like you get this big mirror and you get this, or like a big TV screen basically, and you get to relive your highlights of your life, your regrets, your loves, your all the big moments of your life, and you get those final seconds to reflect and see what you did in this life, and then you get to exactly move on to the next step, whether it's up, down, left, right, or in between, and then it's just kind of darkness. But I do think that's a huge part. But that's why I also take the route and the beliefs that I do, is because I don't think there would be anything you could possibly grasp in this world than to get to that final part and relive those 30 seconds and be like, oh fuck, please give me another, I need another minute just to make amends,
Yeah.
or please, I just need another day to try and do what I always set out to do, and then it just be over. And you know how
Yeah.
paralyzingly pain crippling fear that would be. And so that's why I like to live my life the way I do, is because I think that even if in the, heaven forbid, whatever you want to say, the next 30 seconds that said, hey, you got 30 seconds to reflect on everything that you did in this life and then it's gone forever. I would like to think that I would be able to reflect with a smile on my face. And that's what my all end all be all goal is that I can honestly just stare death down in the face and smile. I think that would be such a cool and unique thing because we're all going to meet it one way or another. We're all going there. And
Yep.
that's why I like to
We're all
ask
getting
it.
there eventually. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, we're all
Whether
going
it's
to
sooner
die.
or later, it don't matter.
Yeah. So it's like I think that's important to think about what's going to happen when you're there. And I think a lot of the times that we wait so long, that we wait until we're later in life and maybe we get blessed enough to get in the 70s, 80s, and so on and so forth. And then you only start thinking about it until you get to that point. And like, oh shit, maybe I should start putting some weight on this. It's like it should
Yeah.
be on your mind. It should be top of mind frequently. Not saying that you should
Frequently,
be
it should be.
morbid.
It should be.
Yeah,
It
not to
should
be
be.
morbid, but it's like that's life. It can be
And that's
taken
like
from you any second.
you can relate that, what you just said, perfectly to the last Puss in Boots movie. You
Huh?
see him
I've
lose
seen it.
all his lives, and he gets down to his last one, and then he finally figures out for himself that he wants to be there.
Yes.
That's a
I
perfect analogy.
I liked that movie a lot.
It
Terry
is a
didn't like it, but I was
it is
like,
a great movie.
no, you're absolutely right. Where it's like, and I think that's our youthfulness, and it's our youthful ignorance that we say is that like we just think that there's just more lives, there's more opportunities, there's
Yeah,
more
it shouldn't
chances.
take you to the end of yours to value yours.
Exactly. Exactly. I think it's very important to take time and steps and to self-reflect and look back and see what actually holds weight in your life and what you're actually working towards. So then when it actually gets all of a sudden done and you get that reel of everything that you did and how everything went and it's you can be happy with it because there would be nothing worse than to look at it and just reach out and be like, no, I just need one more minute. I just need one more day. And you can't get it. It's just it's too late at that point. So I like that. Well, I guess kind of staying on the topic of, death, is there one thing, if there was one thing that people could remember about you when you die, what would you want it to be?
Mm. I think my genuine niceness as a human being and my willingness to bend over for others, even if they're not going to bend over for me.
I like that. Give even though you don't need anything back from people, you're so willing to go the
Yeah,
extra mile.
I don't expect anything back, but I will go out of my way to help others. And I don't necessarily expect stuff back, but obviously if you get stuff back, it is nice recognition, but I don't expect it. I do stuff out of the good of my heart to help others, and I don't need anything in return. I'd rather just do it.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good trait to have, and just being a genuine person and trying to give back that kindness to people, um, is something that it's hard to find. It really is. So giving back to a community, giving back to people, I think is a very special thing that you do. And I can absolutely agree with that. I think you do. I think that, that when, if it was all said and done tomorrow, that I could 100% say that Andrew always would go out of his way to make sure that, he took care of people. And I think it's a good trait to have. So, um, I like that. Well, let's look, I guess, even staying on the concept of death, but thinking in a broader sense, in a broader picture. What do you want out of this life? When it comes down to that final check marks, like if you had a list of things that you want to check off the list, what would be some of those check marks that you would want crossed off?
Hmm.
I know it's a loaded question.
Connects to the relationship one, to be fair. I'd love to have a wife. I don't me, twins run in my family. I would love nothing more than to give my genuine niceness to and share it with human beings of my own. But if I end up just having a significant other, that's fine with me. I'm not I wouldn't be totally against that. But if I had a significant other, I would want an image of both of us, like you and Darian have. I would love to have I don't care if it's a girl or a boy. I want one of each, but I would love to just have one. I think that opportunity would be beautiful. And I think most men in life need to go through fatherhood as a secondary way to mature.
Couldn't agree more. I think I have changed immensely since becoming a dad and in all the right ways. It's and I've talked about it a lot where in the sense of I'm just in my core, I can be a very selfish person and where I'm always constantly thinking about me, my wants, my needs. And I do a good job of connecting with other people and taking care of people, but at the same time, at the core root of it, that's I'm a selfish person. And so when you become a father, nothing matters about you anymore. All that matters is about taking care of that other one and making sure that their needs, their wants, their wishes are met. And so I completely agree. I think that that is a bond in a relationship that I wish everyone can have. And I think that some people just aren't meant to be parents in this world, but I think that's very few people that shouldn't. I think that there's plenty of people that should and don't get to, and I think that's also a tragedy in its own sense. So
Hmm.
uh, I would wish nothing more for you because, yeah, you find out a lot about yourself, and then you also have a lot of adversity that comes with it, with the patience and just the general understanding. And, I say a lot of the times it's okay to be uncomfortable or not like the situation that you're put in, but it's not okay to take it out on other people. So it just definitely puts you out in those situations where you have to cope and you have to adapt, but it gets you more prepared for other things in life. And so I really hope that that's something, and we always say, we like to put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We say we're 28 and we've done all these things and we're so old and oh, we got a reunion coming up 10 years and we're getting so fucking
Gross.
old. But it's like we've
That's
got
gross.
so much time left, so many opportunities left. So to not put those, own restraints on yourself and to know that those opportunities are out there and right around the corner, I think is something also very important. So don't, cross yourself out or take yourself out of any situations. I think if those are truly things that you want to accomplish and have in life, they absolutely tenfold will come towards you. So I think that's awesome. Well, let's gear it a little bit more towards a society standpoint. So, if we were looking as a society as a whole, what do you think modern society takes most for granted with our human existence? And there's a lot of things.
I think I'm not gonna say our generation. The people younger than us think take the world for granted. Like everything's been given to them. They exist in it. They didn't work for it. They don't do any of it. Like think of when we were kids, when you turned 14, you got a job and you went and worked that job. There are a lot of kids in America that do not do that no more.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to work at 14 to get a moped or your first car or whatever. We went through that. Like I'm not saying all of us did. I know some of us were gifted and didn't have to do that. But like there's a quite a few of us that had to work for a lot of that stuff. Like we weren't given that. I feel like there's a lot of younger kids and it's easy to say it in the lakes too. And I'm not
Yeah.
talking down on Spirit Lake, but there is a lot of people who make a lot of money and don't care that their kids are disrespectful and take everything for granted. Like they don't care. They're used to that. I feel like the human decency and just overall like niceness has gone down. Like it's immediately like, don't judge a book by its cover. Oh, but I can see the cover, so I'm going to judge the book kind of thing. I
Yeah.
just feel like there's a lot of younger people and even people our age that are just very quick to judge and don't get the whole picture and don't want the whole picture because they see only the parts they want to see.
Yeah. I agree. No, I like the I mean, I remember, yeah, cleaning golf balls at 13 years old because I wanted because Jason was like, "Hey, if you wanna put gas in the moped, you better have money to put into it," you know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
I know exactly what you're saying, and I will say nothing impresses me more than when I go to a Chick-fil-A and there's, like, I don't know how young they start hiring there, but you can
Oh,
tell they're
yeah,
they're kids, and they're out there slinging, they're hustling, and I fucking love that shit. I'm like, "Hell yes, that's how it should be." You should be putting yourself out there early and frequently and learn some of those societal traits because you will
I
learn
agree.
a lot more from those opportunities rather than sitting in mommy and daddy's basement and yeah, getting mooched off of and having them pay for everything and all other fun stuff. So, um, but I tenfold agree with the book and the cover. I think that we have made it so easy through social media and other facets that it's just so easy to just read it for face value and be like, "Oh, fuck that guy. Oh, well, they don't believe in this." When we don't ever truly get the full story, and we don't allow
Yeah, it's
ourselves
so
to.
too easy to be a keyboard warrior nowadays. You can hide behind a fake profile. Look at all the
Yes.
sports athletes who have fake burner accounts and go on Twitter or X if that whatever you want to call it. They go on
Yeah,
there and will tweet or whatever on a burner. It's like, you're not. Like, we know it's you. Half the time, it's very blatant.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just we take it for granted that we're just in this day and age where it's just like, yes, we have more accessible things. Yes, maybe you don't have to work. 100, 200 years ago, yeah, they were starting kids off at probably 8 or 9 years old, going to work in the fields and making sure that the crops were growing and all the fun stuff. Yes, we're not in those times, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to still work hard for what we want to build for the future. I think that it's still very good. I would love to instill into my kids, whether it's having a small chore job or whatever it is at a young age, to make some money and, budget and do all the fun things with that. So, I think we definitely take that for granted. Absolutely.
And
Um,
even if they don't have jobs, like when I was growing up, if I went to the mall and I wanted this random hat in the buckle, like a fox hat, for example, it was a light blue Arctic Fox motorcycle hat, and I wanted it. And my mom's like, "Oh, it costs $25." She's like, "Minimum wage is like 8. That's about 3 hours of yard work if you want that hat." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Sign me up.
yeah,
I'll
hell
do the
yeah.
yard work. I want the hat."
Hmm.
Even if you do stuff like that, you're instilling stuff in your children to make it seem like, not even though it was essentially given to you and the chores are expected of you in your household, that was a training moment for your parent and a perfect moment to saute you into the workforce. And it is a perfect relation.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that's, yeah, very important to have is the understanding of reality and the fact that, yeah, things just aren't given to you. And I think I still struggle with that. For instance, like with paying the mortgage now, it's like you take for granted having a home and a roof over your head. I think we all have. And where it's like you weren't paying the bills, you weren't paying the lights, the water, everything in between. And now it's like, fuck, I gotta
Yeah,
go
that's
do
like
this just so
living
I
by
can keep
myself.
a
I'm paying it
roof.
all
Oof.
by myself for the first time. It's like, I'm making it out pretty easy with 550 rent nowadays. And like, my God,
Yeah.
I think I moved back to the lakes. It's like 750 minimum. And it's like,
No thanks. Yeah, no, I remember the Yellow House, it was like $300 a month. We were just
oh,
making.
that was vile. Or even the last house, like when there were six of us, it was still like a $300 check. That was it.
That was
Out of
it.
a $1,500 paycheck, you're telling me all I have to pay is $300. Thank you very little.
That's not bad. That's not bad. So what do you think humans misunderstand the most about each other, would you say?
Misunderstand about each other.
I always like to say that we just don't know where we come from. You don't know your backgrounds, and you don't know the experiences that other people have had. So then it's kind of back to your judging a book by its cover, in the sense
Uh-huh.
of where it's just like we misunderstand people so much and misunderstand the environment and where we grew up and how we think and what we believe. So, um,
I think a lot of that plays into like maybe back in the day, like we had more social cues. You had to talk to people in real life to get what you wanted. And now you can talk on the internet. So, like for me, I'm not that social a person. I don't pick up when someone is being sarcastic or being flirtatious. Like, I don't pick that up because I don't conversate like that enough. I feel like nowadays you aren't forced to conversate enough like that, or like, not a strict person. I'm not about to like rip someone apart and like be like, "Yo, you're doing a terrible job," and like yell at them. Not the way I'm going to do it. I think it's just the communication has been lost. There was a certain standard and level of communication, and it's not a thing anymore because you have all this social media to where all you have to do is like when we all do it, everybody texts. There's shortcuts in texting to
yeah,
where are you at? WIA. Like, no one's gonna type it all, and I feel like that has bled into the communicating factor of just humans in general nowadays, to where we don't have those communication skills like they did back in the day. Like, my great grandpa in the 40s hitting on my great grandmother all verbal, all right in front of people, all right in front
Hmm,
of their friends, all right in front of their girlfriends. Like a lot of people don't have that anymore. Like we
yeah,
don't because we don't have to. We don't do it. It's not a norm anymore. You can do it online. I can I can ask AI to type me a flirtatious question mark or a question or a statement to send to somebody. I don't have to think of it. It's complete AI. I can just have them do it for me.
yeah. No, I think you're right on the money. I think that we've definitely lost a big step off in the communication aspect. And that sucks, man, because yeah, and I think that's a big part of why I wanted to start this is because it's really easy for us to get in the games and be like, oh, hey, how's things going? Oh, good. How about you? Good. And that's it. Like
Yeah, the basic 5 minute conversation that
that's
we
it.
can have all day long.
And I think it's so easy to have those, yeah, those the small talk and engage in small talk all the time during throughout your work and all those things. But it's like that's that's okay during those times, but there should be more. There should be more conversations happening,
Yeah, there should be
more
more
in
depth.
depth conversations happening, and that's kind of the whole point of this. You know, is it's even if you know people or you get to have those conversations with people frequently, let's take the time to take out of our day and let's talk about it more thoroughly and give you more presence and a sense of that. So I think you're right on the money. I think communication is definitely falling off a cliff. And I think that's also impacting a lot of people's relationships with other people, you know,
I agree.
whether it's, you know, your girlfriend, boyfriend, partner in between. It's just like I think that the communication barriers are not bleeding into only your family and friends, but the people that are supposed to be the most important people in your lives. So um I always say with me and Darian, we take a lot of time to where it's like, hey, we're turning the TV off, the phones are going down, everything's off, and we're gonna sit in front of each other in silence for hours or maybe just an hour or 30 minutes, whatever we can get, and just have a conversation, talk about what's going on in your brain. And so I empower and implore everyone to have people like that where you can truly, hey, let's turn off all the electricity, let's get all the distractions out of the way, and let's just have face-to-face conversations as much as we can, you know? In a perfect world, I'd love to have this podcast where it's literally just a camera in the corner of the
They'll
room and
sit
I'm
down
sitting
and all the
across and
agreed.
doing that, and that'd be one cool thing. So I try and make it as you know, as minimal as we can with this, but I think that's what people are missing. I think that a lot of people are just missing that conversation where even if they're having a conversation with people they like, you're still on your phone and you got your brain in 8 different directions or thinking about different things. It's like, how about we just turn all that off and let's focus on this conversation taking place and enjoy the moment, enjoy the presence of people that you're with. So we're right on the money. So I guess it kind of leads into the next question of what do you think the world needs more of from people, and how do you try and embody that yourself?
I think nowadays understanding, especially in like now, like you have so many people who just don't understand or like want to understand or will let themselves understand or learn about these other people rather than just we're just going to cast them away because they're not us.
Yeah, I think. How do you try and embody that in yourself? Then, would you say?
I try to take everyone as they are. I don't try to judge anybody. There's a lot of Hispanic people who work at our Walmart. Can I converse with them that well? No. But when I have a produce associate who comes in and she speaks fluent Spanish, whether people take it the wrong way and are like, you shouldn't say that. That's like a cultural wrong. When she says goodbye to me, almost always say adios just out of pure instinct because I know it's something she understands. And I feel like she takes a pride in that I'm attempting to like converse or speak the language,
Yeah,
even if it's something as little as saying hola or when she first gets there or adios when she leaves. Just having the confidence and the awareness to talk to people. And that's like the multiple people you see on TikTok that go into like restaurants and order at these Asian restaurants that don't have anybody. And then he goes back a week later and it's packed. Or you have the one guy who fakes being homeless and ends up buying this mama car and all that. Like, we're all the same people. We all have different struggles. It takes a genuinely kind human being to understand that and then act on it out of pure love to just help that other human being.
yeah.
And not all people feel the need to do that. And I feel like that is another worldly miss.
Yeah. Just taking the time, I think that's a huge part too, yeah,
Yeah,
is
just
that
show effort. It doesn't it and that's minimal. Like, she speaks English too, but sh obviously she primarily speaks Spanish. Like, she takes enjoyment in me saying adios, and she chuckles all the time because she thinks it's funny.
yeah, the cultural appropriation, I think, is a big part, and a lot of times it's like but we as America, we have the biggest melting pot of cultures
Yeah.
anywhere in the world, but then at the same time, a lot of times people take that as racism or, like, just
Yeah,
trying
you have,
whatever
like, all
else.
the people who wanna send every single person back right now, and it's like, I understand that if they're illegal, I do. I understand that. But at the same point of them being illegal, they came over here for a reason and they risked their life for a reason. Duh. Um, if they're coming over here because it takes too long for them to do it the correct way, there's a reason for that, and I believe you should look into it before you send them back. Like, if you're telling me you live in Mexico and the mob's after you, you're just not gonna move hell and high water to get your wife and children out, you're going to. Like, you don't have a choice, you're going to. Some of those people are over here and they're being sent back. What do you think's gonna happen when they get sent back? They're in the same shitstorm.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
just
a whole thing. You could go off on a tangent, and I know Burns would. I just think the whole legal system regarding coming over here and getting through a clean border, it takes a process. I get that. But you look at other countries and how easy it is to get a visa and go visit them. Like all the European countries, you get a visa and you can visit them. Doesn't take longer than what, a year and a half, 2, 7 years to become a United citizen. 7. That is ridiculous.
yep,
That
would
is
take
my
a while.
main argument, my main flaw, and my only huge gripe with the immigration that is going on right now is just it wouldn't be that bad if you would make the system easier, but at the same time, it's again relates to the news media thing we talked about earlier. There's so many different news medias nowadays that all take that one story and twist it 10 different ways. So it's just however you want to read into that system and what news you read and how you read it depicts your image of that system.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, at the end of the day is if you can be a leader in your own sense, practice what you preach and just give everybody the kindness and the acceptance and trying to understand everybody as what they can. I think that's you're putting good out into the world. And like I said, karma is a big thing where if you're putting that good positive energy out into the world in that facet of things, I think that other people can absorb that and give it back. And so, no, I think you're right. I think that there's just a lot of good things that could come from this. And so, we continue to be a melting pot. We continue to be, what makes us great. And so I think that we take it for granted. We definitely take everything that we have for granted, and that sucks. And we're all victims of it. We're all guilty of it. And so it's just like, well, what do we just got to recognize it for what it is and try and be better, be the best versions of ourselves, undoubtedly. So,
Yeah. And I had a coworker just go to New York, and it's like in New York, there's so many different suburbs. You have Little Italy. You have like Chinatown. You have the Bronx. You have Harlem. You have all these different spots that are just geographically there. And those people have been there for so long. It feels like you're in a different, not a different like town, but technically you're in like a different village if you want in New York, and it's just wild how nowadays you have like where the Italians are, the Chinese are, where the African Americans are. You have where like the Irish people were. You have like all these different suburbs. It's so cool to see. So cool.
yeah, it is pretty dope. I like that. I like that a lot. Well, I always like to ask a bonus question, I call it, and it's always regarding the pyramids. So I
Mm.
love to hear everyone's take on it. So when you think about the Great Pyramids, how do you think they were
Yeah.
built and who do you
Jesus.
think built them? I gotta ask everybody. I gotta get everybody's input.
Do I answer first, or do you want to give me your input?
Well, you gotta go first because I got too much. I spend all my free time
Okay,
with it.
okay. I get you went to school, you nerd.
Look, I even got literally right next to me, fingerprints of the gods. This is what I spend all my free time with. I can't get enough of it. So I got to hear other people's opinions.
I those are heavy rocks to move. Like, I don't know if that's just pure slave labor, brother. I don't think that it is. I think they're too perfectly created and aligned with stars.
Mhm.
Somebody else had to have their fingers dipped into that masterpiece. I don't think it was just a Jewish and Egyptian slaves. I really don't.
No.
There's no way, as intricate as they're built, and to be built the way they were and have a tomb on the inside that you can't even get to, but they ended up putting people in anyway? How?
Yep.
How?
Um,
Like, I don't, and the hieroglyphics alone, that ancient civilization of Egypt is just mind-boggling to me.
it's so
Absolutely
cool.
mind-boggling.
It's so cool. I always say if there was one thing that I could have done, like if there was like a perfect world where you got to live out your dreams of what you wanted to do in life, I'd be an Egyptologist. I think that would be the coolest thing in the
Mhm,
world, solving the world's oldest mysteries and the most
mhm.
unsolved things, and every day just being engulfed by that. I think it'd be the coolest thing in the world.
Oh, what were those books growing up where they read the book in the treehouse?
The
Did
Magic
they
Tree
into that
House.
time?
Yeah,
That would be insane.
those are cool. Yeah,
Just like, was it a Indiana Jones movie where he went back in time?
Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, yeah, that's mental. That would be mental. Imagine you could, like, pick a picture in time, or even, like, those sport books where the, young kid held the baseball card and could go back in time.
Mhm, mhm.
Those were insane. That would be mental. I would love to go back in time. If you went back in time to that time, imagine taking the knowledge you have and going back to that time and knowing what they were doing and, like, offer them some tips and tricks just to see if, like, how progression would progress or how,
Yep.
like, the butterfly effect. It'd be neat. It'd
I
be
always,
cool. But at
I'd
the same
always
time, like
say,
Indiana Jones, like, he only goes back to see it and to give that guy that one tool, so he
yeah.
is basically confirming, like, the future is the future. And it's just kinda cool. It's really, really cool.
I always say if I had a genie with wishes or if I
Mhm.
could have a superpower, it would be time travel. And it wouldn't ever be forward, it would always be backwards. That's I
Yeah,
mean,
be like a Doctor Who.
ooh-wee, I don't yeah, no, I'm in the same boat where it's like, it's super hard to come up with a conventional way of saying it, of how it was built, so it's like, well, what do you turn to alternatively then? What are you where do you go? One of the things that I've been reading about recently is the Sphinx, and so the Sphinx that's right in front of the
Yeah.
3 big pyramids, they can say without a doubt that it was carved out of the limestone and the bedrock that's naturally there, but it's like, well, what time period? And so they had recently, connected with the pyramids, but based off of water erosion and everything that's based off of the actual Sphinx itself, they think that it's more likely 10,000 plus years ago, which kind of correlates if you listen to the other podcast episodes. I won't beat a dead horse, but it comes in contact with the Younger Dryas hypothesis theory, where it was basically during the last ice age when everything melted, everything kind of had that its own time period before then, took a nice big pause because we went through a cataclysmic event and then got to kind of upbring and go from there. So the thing that I always point out is that it is constantly ancient Egyptians, why they're the most known ancient civilization, is because they wrote about everything. And so why we know so much about them is because they wrote about it and we have physical, tangible evidence about it. But not one fucking time have they ever wrote in those millions and millions of scriptures about how they built the fucking pyramids. Not one fucking time. You know what they do mention is about how they inhabited the land that they had come upon. And they mention a lot of times about the restoration project. So when people are talking about the project that they wrote about, it's the restoration where they were finding these things and they're trying to restore them because they had been weathered down and damaged. And so they're trying to restore them and then basically put their own spin on it. So to me, it
I can
always
see that.
seems,
I can see that.
yes, it to me, it seems like it's more of an inherited civilization that they put their own spin on, and they just kept the best records, because who's saying that that hasn't happened thousands of times and all over, you gotta
Well,
look at the
yeah,
Mayans, the Incas, the Olmecs, everybody over there, they just didn't have a written language enough to put out exactly what was happening, but we can see those buildings, we can date them and say that was almost 4,000 years ago, but nobody has a written language, they have no writings, no
yeah,
pictures, nothing, so we can't prove it. And so that's what always drives me crazy about history and archaeology and things like that, is like until they can physically put pen to paper and show you, then they say it's not real. But it's like it's right there. I can see it and I know that those motherfuckers didn't build it. So who the fuck did? It's
yeah,
it's it's the question that just runs and runs and runs. So um yeah, it's if I
yeah. That
ever
is
had
wild.
a it's crazy. It's so crazy. And that's what I like to spend all my free time with, is just to kind of and solve those mysteries and see what other people's minds are. And I talked with Kubat a lot about it, but in Turkey, there's a lot of archaeology going on where they're discovering new things. And
And think about when the world was made, like Pangea was a thing apparently, all everything was connected. Think about how much the world has shifted, and
mhm,
some of those buildings maybe were built
yep,
back then and have shifted with the seas. Maybe the pyramids weren't meant to be where they're at. Maybe they just happened to be there. You don't know.
yes, with
Like, it's
the
kinda wild.
So since the building of the pyramids, quote unquote, so 2,650 years ago, the Nile River actually used to kiss right up against them. It has since almost 4,500, 4,600 years later, moved 8 miles over and away. That just kind of depicts itself in its own. Not to mention the Sahara Desert up to 7,000 years ago was a literal tropical
Lush.
forest, which
Mhm.
is crazy.
It was
That's one
lush.
thing.
Yeah, it was mental.
I think that's number 2. If I were to ever be able to get time to be an archaeologist in that sense, I'd go to the Sahara.
Oh, brother,
I'd go
yeah.
there. I
I
think
agree.
I think and they've wrote about it a lot in Egypt where they said that the people
I think the
before them
sand's covering stuff,
I think it is. I think that people were
honestly.
there and they migrated to Egypt, and that's kind of where it all just started, is they were in those
Well, you
tropical
low key
areas
see
and
it in the
moved.
one of the last one of the Aquaman movies where it's underneath the sand and they part the sand and there's a drop and then there's a hidden city down there.
I
Like,
mean,
I
yeah.
believe there's so much hidden.
Yeah, I
That's like
agree.
the is it the one place in Egypt where they have it's like a statue and it's I don't wanna say it like it's got pillars and stuff and you walk into it. It's like a cave. I can't remember the name of it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I was thinking about the other day.
Oh.
It's on the Silk Road.
Yeah, it's like the doors of something or something like that.
Yes.
I
Um,
would love to go. That
yes.
is mental.
Yeah. It's so
Like, I'm
cool.
pretty sure they showed it in one of the Transformers movies, I think,
Yes.
because that's where
Mhm.
they find the Prime,
Mhm.
uh,
Yep. So
whatever it is.
just all history shit just boggles and wraps around my mind. So I always like to get other people's opinions. But ancient civilizations has definitely got my heartstrings, and that's what
Yeah,
has
that's
spent.
gotta be like a boys' trip
Oh,
to
dude.
just go visit,
Oh
like,
man.
historical places. That would be mental.
You'd have to
That'd be
pull me
cool.
away. You'd have to pull me away. I remember when we went
That'd
to
be cool.
Greece, Darian had to pull me out Mount Olympus when I went to the actual Parthenon.
Dude,
She had to
that
pull
would
me
be a
off that
place I
bitch.
could waste multiple days just
Oh,
in
yes.
awe,
Oh,
in
yes.
absolute awe.
We took
Like,
a lot
that
of
is
pictures, and
mental.
but it makes so much sense when you're up there, dude. So I have a video of it. I never realized until I was there, but Athens is a giant bowl. So literally, it's the ocean on the south side, and then they have just this giant mountain ridge that literally almost looks like a half donut. And then Olympus is at the very top in the middle of all that. So there's like this little mountain range in the middle of it. And so when you're at the top of that, it's no wonder all the Greek mythology is the way it is, because you truly are looking out. There's not a square foot that's not covered by buildings. And it's just 30, 40, 50 miles of housing and
That is
everything.
mental.
And it's just like you understand. You're like, oh, I get it. I see why they thought they were with the gods, because this is like all the way up there, and you see all this vast land and the ocean,
Yeah,
and oh, it's so cool. It's so
that'd be
cool.
mental.
So yeah, no, it all starts to make sense when you start to put yourself in those actual perspectives. Because it's easy to say now, like, well, no, duh, there's not a god of thunder. No, duh, there's not this, that, and the other thing. But it's like
I don't
when
know.
when
But
you
when you
go
visit
there,
it and you see it
ooh, you're like,
and
if
you
you,
see, like, all the statues and stuff, it's like,
yeah,
kinda hard to argue.
If I was going to their daily
It
and they
took a
told me
lot of
Zeus,
time to make these
yeah.
statues. Like, I think they were looking at someone when they made it.
Well, it's just like, yeah, what drove people to make that big of a commitment? What made them because like you
Like,
said,
it
I
takes
don't think
you a
it's
long time to chisel those stones. Like, if is that an image? Are you creating it in an image?
I yeah.
But if you are, why are all the images and all the statues the same?
And a lot of the times, yeah, they can prove that it's like you mentioned before, which like you don't think it's slave labor, and I completely agree. Most of these places where you find these such elaborate everything is because their belief was so strong. They have there's no evidence of slavery, or there's no evidence of any of that. Like even with today in the United States, they can go back and they can see like where they lived, the encampments, all those different things. They have evidence to prove the stories that were told. But with all those where they're like, "Oh, it must have just been slaves. They must have just slaved everybody." It's like maybe in some cases, but most of those cases you can't prove that. But you can prove that it's fucking there and somebody did it.
Yeah, I can
That's
look at
crazy.
it.
Yeah, it's so cool. No, I like that idea. I mean, as we get older and we keep making money and doing the things that I would love nothing more. Believe it or not, there is said to be an ancient civilization in the Americas in Ohio that they have actual evidence from, and they can. There's like certain mounds that were actual man-made mounds where you see it, and
Hmm.
it's just like the hills. And I'm like, I gotta go see that shit. I gotta see that shit.
Oh,
So,
I can't remember. There's oh, it's a bigger town around here, but I had heard, and my uncle had told me that they built a park and a recreational area on top of Indian burial grounds, and
mm.
that it's haunted. And it is
Well,
because I've been to a concert there, and it's spooky as hell.
well,
Like, you're hearing stuff out of the wind. When there's no wind, you're hearing stuff in the wind, and you're hearing all this other stuff, and it's like, I kind of believe in that stuff. He might have lied, but I kind of believe in that now.
yeah,
It's kind of
man.
spooky.
No, it's cool. No, I like that shit.
It's cool as hell, though.
And I could do anything history, anything. Yeah, it's got my heartstrings. I love it so much. So, but yeah. Well, Andrew, I really appreciate you taking the time tonight to come on and sharing a lot of things about yourself. And I know you got to work early in the morning, so I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah,
But I really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we'll be able to maybe do this again soon. I know we'll be able to get together soon. And
yeah,
we can go
fair,
from there.
fair.